welcome to Asylum Atelier. Welcome to Painting Discourse. Like I promised yesterday, we're gonna work on some bad painting today because it's Bad Painting Friday. I also promise you to work with the skull. Some of you, I promised to try to do a skull. Trust me, I thought of it. You can see it right here. It was kind of ready. I was thinking that I might include it into a today bad painting. Unfortunately, I felt that it might be a little too complicated to execute on one sitting, just because I also I mean, the idea behind Bad Painting Friday is that I'm just going to put myself into a situation that I have only limited amount of hours or minutes to finish something, and I want to see how far I can push it. I want to see. I want to do these quick decisions. I don't want to, overcomplicate things. I don't want to go into depth of, different the stories and feelings behind the painting. So this should be just a really relaxing, no pressure time. And the moment I saw a skull, I was like, no, I need to do this, then I have to do this, then I let me adjust it to this way. So I just abandoned that, and I might do actual painting with the skull, maybe like a longer session, and discuss a little bit about how I approach a portraiture. That might be interesting video as well, or maybe do a Bad Painting Friday, like a multiple session, maybe Bad Painting Friday on a Sunday as well. But it was, like I said, it requires, or either I could actually pre-draw and pre-analyze for myself that skull, so I wouldn't waste time with getting proportions right. But then I felt that that might be, again, if you want to see and experience the mistakes that I make throughout the process, I wanted you to see those mistakes as well. So I just decided, I just threw some tomatoes that I had here, and the centerpiece of the big tomato, it's the same one that I painted last week. It's from my friend's garden, so it's all natural, and I'm going to eat it right after this. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's another extra bonus to paint this, because unless I paint it today, there's going to be no more this awesome tomato. So just a quick disclaimer, as always, this is not video for you to watch, so please do not watch this video. Don't expect that you're going to sit down, watch this 2-3 hour experimentation on painting and tomorrow morning you're going to wake up and you're going to be fully fledged painter. That's not how it's going to work, and you might be really disappointed if you think that. That being said, there is a cool way to actually enjoy this stream, and that's just very simple: paint alongside with me, you can avoid the same mistake that I'm going to do. You can maybe join to this discourse and add some ideas. That will be awesome and actually welcome. You can criticize what I do. That's okay. This is a part of that experience. I actually created this idea of streaming or Bad Painting Friday to just kind of let go of that criticism, because this is really just a experiment. I need to do that experiment in order to see how far I can push certain colors, how far I can push certain ideas, and I don't want to feel like restrictions. So yeah, really just relax, have fun, and this is going to be really a fun exercise and experiment. I will talk more about my thinking process throughout the painting. I'm still setting up certain things. I just wanted to start so you guys know what is in my mind. One thing that I want to point out is that you see through the camera, in order for me to actually paint, I try to zoom into my canvas. You might see it under a different angle, so if certain things doesn't actually match to what you see exactly, it's because I am right from the camera. I'm on this side, you can see my hand right here. I'm on this side, on the right, and I'm looking slightly from above, so I'm going to be looking at those tomatoes from above. So that might be slightly confusing for you, but it doesn't really matter, because that's not important. I hope that you have your own still lives, you have your own painting supplies that you like to work with, and it doesn't need to be still life. You can continue with your regular work, because whatever I'm going to do here, it's going to be directly linked to everything that that we talked about before, right? So that's just part of the idea that this is like a small scale, and trust me, more I do these little bad painting Fridays, excuse me, better I feel with the decision making that I do with larger work. So this is really a fun way to actually improve your skills. So don't skip on this exercise. And since I am, more or less ready, I can actually start with the grid. I just lay down the grid for myself. I don't use it very often, that kind of a grid idea, not because it's not that I would be, that I would oppose that. It's simply just I'm lazy. What am I going to lie? I'm lazy. But I'm trying to reapply that grid again, only because it helps me to actually navigate a little better through the painting, and actually kind of also helps me to correct these problems that I talked about before. And another thing that I did, I have just a limited palette. So I have white, yellow, red, and black, which is blue. I add a little bit of sienna, burnt sienna, because, or burnt umber. I'm sorry, I guess that's a burnt umber. And I want to add a burnt sienna only because I like to work with these two earth tones. And the reason is because the background is kind of a, desaturated, the half of a background rather, or some of a background. And maybe I can squeeze ultramarine to get that nice blueness in that, the rich blue in that cloth that is there. But that's not necessary. So it's just, since I said that this is going to be a limited palette, I'm really thinking about that idea that this is not really the accurate measurements. Never mind. Probably this is probably somewhere like a midpoint. and you can do this with ruler, but I always try to exercise my eye, because I know that with ruler everybody can get it, it's not a problem. But then, you know, you cannot always use the ruler. Sometimes it's just simply there are things that you cannot measure with the ruler. So I'm trying to, develop that muscle memory even with my eyes, and do the divisions just freehand, because it's a little practice that you can do to improve your accuracy with brush. And I'm not saying that you have to do it, but it's definitely beneficial in the long run. And that's something that actually, I don't think this has anything to do with painting. I think that I took this from Bruce Lee, if I'm being honest. He was talking about that. No matter what he's doing, he's always trying to improve his skills, his craft. And I think that the memorable part of what he was talking about was that, even for instance, when he's in like that, in the day-to-day task or everyday tasks, he's always trying to, you know, think how the everyday task, day-to-day task, can improve his skills. And I really like that idea, and it kind of stuck with me. He was talking about, I don't know, like you're showering, and then instead of sitting down and, you know, washing your feet, he was standing upright, and he was standing on one foot, and washing the other with the pose that he was stretching himself. So he wanted to use every minute or everything that he was doing in order to improve his craft, which was really cool idea. And it kind of stuck with me, and that's what I do right now. So I do these grids not with a ruler, I do them just freehand, and you can see that they are not perfect, but that's okay, because I'm not looking for a perfect grid. I'm just looking for some helper, some guidance, something to fall back to, like a little safety net, you know, just to control myself. All right, so let's think about the composition a little bit. I think I'm looking at this right now, and I'm deciding that probably the focal point is going to be like somewhere here in this quadrant, right here, quadrant. I see a grid and I go immediately into a mathematics. It would be interesting to see it here. This is what I see right now, like the little triangular shape. And again, I'm looking at it from above, right? So how would I don't even know if I can't raise my camera higher without actually obscuring this, but I'm looking at it from a slightly different perspective. So I'm trying to compose this a little bit right now, and just to see you. So the back plane for you might be straight, but for me it's actually going slightly this way, like so. So that would be that back plane, or actually where the background meets the foreground. That's what that is. And then, you know, it goes something like this from my point of view, somewhere here. And what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to think that maybe I could. That might be a little too much. It might be too abrupt. This might go a little higher then. I'm going to push that feeling of perspective, because why not? Because we're testing it right now. So these two lines should merge somewhere in the background, right? So I'm trying to make them not parallel to each other. They might be parallel right now, but you know, if you go into a distance, they would meet in one point. So that's where these planes are going to be. So that would give me, like, I have this one tomato right here, and another one could be somewhere here. It's the big one. I have a little bigger gap, so maybe even here. There's this, and then I have another one almost touching. Almost touching this one. So this would be probably my grouping. And here's the thing, this might not be the best composition ever, but I am experimenting, so should you. So I'm putting these things like in a weird positions, weird spot, weird, well, kind of a weird, I can put this here. And then I'm not working only with the positive shape, but I'm working with negative shape as well. So I see some nice shadow right here that could help me. Then I see a shadow that's right here. And then I have a little sliver of light right here on that blue fabric. I'm pretty sure that you can see that. And from that fabric, there is a little piece of shadow right here in the background, and there is this way. Maybe this could go a little lower. Maybe this there. So this is just a really, this is like a brainstorming. This is nothing that, you know, has to stay there. It's not set in stone. Maybe I could push this one a little bit more this way. This. And then I'm going to connect them with that shadow. And then my light source is from here. So this is going to be another shadow right here. Nope. More, I think it's little. This, and I might have exaggerated this a little bit. So I'm playing with the shape a little bit more. So this might be a shadow right here. This is the shadow, and then I have a shadow here. All this is in the shadow. So I'm looking at this stage, and this is a good moment to pause for those of you who are starting with your own project. And I have a question here that I'm going to read it. Based on the palette, it seems like you are doing a modified Zorn palette. Burnt Umber is there. Am I not correct? That's a really nicely structured sentence. I don't know if it's a Zorn palette. It could be. I mean, we call it Zorn palette probably because Zorn is famous for using it and advocating for it, but I would simply call it limited palette. Truly, just as it is. And here's the thing. Limited palette doesn't mean that you cannot use quinacridone red if you want to. I hope that I pronounced it correctly. Limited palette, in my understanding, means that you actually choose your boundaries for yourself, right? So on the palette, I know that I need my black and I need my white for two reasons. My black and my white are not, well, theoretically, or I don't know, even philosophically, when you think about it, white, it's absence of color. Black, it's absence of light. And I think of these pigments that way very often. So I'm not using white because something needs to be white. Of course, that's the primary idea when I'm thinking about hue, but white in this case for me, it's making something lighter in terms of value. I have my yellow ochre. You know what? If this would be, I will never get the colors that saturated. But there is no way because, like I said, I'm limiting myself. So it's forcing me to create a little more. I don't want to say that I'm going to invent, but I have to adjust certain things. I understand that I cannot go as dark as no light, because this basically means that there is no light there. So this would be my darkest dark. I would solely, you know, limit this black only for maybe that occlusion that it's there. Which means that that's really the darkest part, probably right here and right here. And I will talk about it as I will paint. So that would be my black, and I'm going to use black and white in this case, most likely just like a value adjustment rather than just a hue, or thinking about it as a hue. I'm using titanium white because it's very opaque. Actually, it's opaque as it can get. And you might substitute your yellow ochre for, I don't know, cadmium yellow if you want to. Instead of my vermilion, you can have. Last time I think I was painting with alizarin crimson, or you know, that kind of a cool red. And I think I like cool reds a little bit more because I can always make them warmer, adding yellow into it, so turn it into an orange. It's way more difficult for me to turn this vermilion into something towards the purple, because the only thing that could make it cooler, it's green. Or it's this dark, very, very dark blue. And then I can maybe mix that dark blue with a little bit of yellow ochre, which turns it into a green. But that green is going to be visible only next to this vibrant red. So I'm doing this for multiple reasons, and it's or dark accents. Yes, thank you. I'm just reading a chat. Yes, these might be a dark accents, but they have a specific name. I think these are called occlusions. There's a specific, you know, like a physical terminology, or from physics, that they, you know, study these things, and they give them names. It basically means that when the light travels right here and hits the surface, it reflects into the shadow side. So that's why sometimes you can hear that when you're painting outside, the shadows should be a blue or cool, because of that huge sky dome that is there, that is reflecting into them. It's like a second light source. But then, you know, there is a point where the light, no matter how much is bounced, it cannot get back towards from that. So it's trapped there, and it stays there. Not stays, it gets dissolved. So that's why it's the darkest point there. But this is very loosely suggested physical phenomena. If you want a better explanation, I think that you should definitely check some lectures about light and how light works. It's actually very beneficial. You would be surprised how much information you can extrapolate from those kind of lectures. So yeah, so I just threw this sketch, and what I wanted to say is that right now, if I'm not satisfied with my composition, this is the time for you to experiment with composition, to see whether you like it or not. And how I'm thinking about this is that I have this blue area right here. So this would be my blue area right here, because that's a blue background. Then I have my neutral background. That's this. And I'm thinking about this dark shape right now, which is going to be dark mass or one continuous dark shape kind of points out, it creates the kind of arrow towards this very red focal point. So this is going to be obviously my focal point. Not only I'm putting it on that, you know, classical photography grid when you have it divided into thirds, but also it also makes sense because this dark shape is going to point towards that. And I'm going to support it. I'm going to make sure that this is the main idea that I have there. So let me just grab a larger brush so I can actually lay down there. And I'm going to think right now about the value more than anything else of that dark area there, because it seems it wants me to go lighter than it is right now. And the reason is because I have a light tone on the paper. When I squint my eyes, it's just really, really dark. I wouldn't say that it's, you know, zero, like a first the darkest, the zero value, but I would probably say somewhere 1.5 and 2. If I'm talking about the 1 to 10 value scale, and the 0 being black or no light whatsoever, we cannot achieve that. So it's going to be very close to the darkest darks. And what I'm asking myself is I'm comparing it with another shadows. And then not only I'm comparing it with another shadows, I'm asking myself, what is my focal point? So I'm going to put the most accents or the values from 0 to 10 there, and I'm going to keep everything, you know, kind of dissolved into the background, that it's not in my focal point. So let me just maybe. So since I don't have blue, I'm going to use my. Let me just do it with a palette knife, so you can actually see what I'm doing. So I have. This would be probably somewhere around, I don't know, 3, 4 perhaps. From if this is a 0 and I go all the way here, and this is going to be a number 1 or 10. I'm sorry, number 10. So I want to make it a little darker. And right now I'm thinking not only that I'm creating a dark value, I'm creating blue. So this is going to be my blue. This is as blue as I can get. And more white I add to it, it's going to be a lighter blue, but it's going to lose its chroma. So I have to really be careful with it if I want to do something chromatic. I can always, you know, move that chroma a little bit more. I can add a little warmer value there into that. So you can see that I neutralize that blueness there, but I add a little bit more chroma. I can try to do a similar thing since these are experiments, right? So I can grab I'm going to create similar value, or the same value, same value, but I'm going to, instead of move it towards the reds, because this is orange red, I'm going to add yellow, and I'm going to turn it or move it or shift it more towards green. I have to understand a couple things, and one of these things is that this yellow ochre, it's lighter value than this. Even this small amount, barely visible on the tip of that palette knife, consciously I have to understand that this is going to make it lighter, and it's going to turn it more towards green, because this blue with the yellow ochre, it's going to turn green. Even this tiny amount, it's going to be unperceivable for my eye. But on the whole large scale, if I were to create like really simple, just a really tiny brush strokes next to each other to turn the form on the such a, you know, on a really small scale, I would have to add this much, place the brush stroke, add another little piece, place the brush stroke next to it, add a little piece. I wouldn't be able to see it in the mixture that it shifted, but you know, when I then look at that transitions, they're going to be visible next to each other. So I am going to make this even darker. Because I know that the moment I add that light, that yellow ochre to it, it's going to lighten up, or it's going to be lighter value. And these little shifts, like I said, they're very difficult to perceive, especially on the camera. But your eye and your brain, these are powerful tools, and they will definitely show that shift. So this is somewhere. This is probably what I'm going to use for my shadow right here. And the reason is that I can always make it darker, right? So if I place the pure color next to it, I still have a couple. I don't know. I can drop, I don't know, value and a half still before I get to my darkest pigment on the palette. So this is somewhere where I'm going to stop, and this is going to be my shadow value. Right now I'm thinking that the shadow, even though it's blue, I should probably make it a little warmer, just a little bit, because there is a lot of warmth in my studio right now. You know, I have wooden floors. There are plants around here, and when you see there's a wood around here, everything is kind of warmish. So all that, instead of thinking about that I have a blue sky dome, which is a secondary light source plus is making it cool, most of the stuff it's orange here, so I'm going to have a warmer shadows right now against the cooler lights. And I wouldn't even call them warm shadows, I would call them neutral shadows, leaning more towards the warm. That would be probably how I think about it. Not probably, that's how I actually think about it. You're absolutely right that dark accent is easier to remember, yes. But, you know, it's just the only reason why I'm trying to talk about occlusion is because then sometimes you might confuse dark accent with an actual accent, with a light accent, and then, you know, same as when I was talking about that, when you think about this and you see these highlights that are right here on those tomatoes, they're really distracted. They're kind of distracting the form because that's not the lightest part of the or top of the form, or the how would I explain this? I talked about this in previous bed painting Friday. Let me just paint it there. I need a little help. So if the light is coming right here, which is it's hitting this area right here, and that angle of incidence going towards my eyes, that's why I perceive this as a lightest part, like directly the lightest part. The lightest part, it's lightest for me. From where you're standing, it's going to move. So the accent that I'm talking about, it's actually not constant. What I'm thinking about is that I have a form right here. The tomato, it has a certain form, so you could actually, you know, make an argument that the top of the form, it's right here. So this is going to be a lighter spot, and it's difficult to see right now. Let me wipe this. So the form that is that's top of the form not necessarily corresponds with a highlight or accent. But you are absolutely right. Thinking about it as a dark accent, it's easier and less complicated. But if you want to go deeper, you want to create a little more complicated setups. And there's, I have students and friends and colleagues as well that they are more, that mathematically driven. So they really expects you to use these official terms. So I'm trying to do my best. I'm not really good at that. So I decided that this is going to be my dark value. I'm not going to fuss about it a lot, only because this is just the first. So it's there. I might go a little more. And then I have a little bit right here. So this would probably be, you can actually unify it and create this shadow as well. And this one as well. So this would be probably, not probably, this is my this is my composition. And I have, multiple options right now. I can think of this as a satisfactory, or I can think of this, nah, I don't like it. And I would, if I were what is, I'm trying to put it, well, let's think of this very in a very simplistic way. I have really, what I'm thinking right now with the composition is that, okay, I have this dark shape right here, which is roughly occupying 1/4, maybe 1/3 if I add these little shadows right here. So I have a 2/3 light and 1/3, because I'm also, counting, taking into consideration that this is going to be shadow right here, and there is a shadow right here on this one, and a shadow here as well, right? So I'm roughly somewhere on that 1:2 ratio, which I kind of like for a composition. Since we are working with thirds, right, I decided to work with the thirds. I have this in this lower portion of the composition. It's my focal point, so it's occupying this, it's on that third intersection of the thirds, and then I can support it with that idea that 1/3 is going to be dark and 2/3 is going to be light. It should never be half and half. That's kind of make the composition boring, unless you're making it half and half intentionally. Well, that's a very important thing. If you're doing it intentionally, that is okay, and please, by all means, go for it. But if you don't know what you're doing and you just land it into half and half, because what I was talking about previously, our brain just wants to simplify everything. You have to, double check yourself and force yourself to. Then to adjust it. If it's, but like I said, if it's a conscious decision, then by all means go for it, do it. It's probably something that you thought about and you know, who am I to stop you to making it? I'm just softening the edges here. Who am I to tell you what to do with your composition? But as a good general rule would be that, you know, I'm always trying to think about this is probably when you look at this and you stop your video, or you know, I don't know, just you can still looking at it while I'm talking, is how I think about my composition. If I don't like what I see right now, there is no reason for me to actually ever continue. So this is actually time for me, and I'm just, I know that you cannot see me. I am really stepping away from that, and I'm looking for distance. I would have my small mirror with me, looking into mirror reflection and asking myself, do I like what I see or I don't? And I'm not thinking about this as a three-dimensional shape. This is pure flat shape. This is just one shape against another. This is abstract painting. All right, so I just, and then maybe I could add a little bit more. And I might, you know, I'm working with a transparency as well. I should probably work opaquely, but this might be a little too much, because I'm losing that kind of a arrow pointing. And so this is, even though I see the shadow right here, this one, I'm not going to include it there. I'm not going to include it there. So let me mix right now the rest of pigments. I have a local color of a background, which is that cloth, and then local color, which is that blue. I don't have a blue, so I can go immediately from these mixtures, right? So I have my black, just a little bit of yellow, a little bit of light. So is this about the similar value? And you can immediately see that under that blue or gray are warm tones. It's something that it's more towards the yellow, so it's enhancing that gray, and it's making it appear like it's blue. And that's that optical illusion that you want to practice a lot, because that's what's going to help you that's what's going to help you to better understand the limitations of your pigments, and not only limitations, but also the strengths. So that's why limited palette does not necessarily mean that you have to be limited to that kind of a Zorn idea, that white, yellow ochre, vermilion or cadmium red, and then ivory black. You can limit yourself however you want. Yesterday, you know, some of you mentioned that you're using orange and blue, no, orange and purple, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a limited palette. One of my favorite limited palettes that I work with was ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, or red oxide, and white. And it's amazing how much you can get from these three colors, right? And you know, the idea is that I have a dark value blue. I have a very dark value of orange. When I mix them together, they are complementary pigments, so they kind of desaturate each other, and you know, you can create warmer or cooler, or you can actually create bluer grays and then orangey grays with that kind of a palette. And then also white, you're making it lighter. So that's another way of thinking about a limited palette. So I'm mixing that, and I still look at the composition. I'm still, you know, whether I like it or not, and I also asking myself what's the value of that cloth that I'm looking at, right? So it's like a halfway through. I think I'm right about right now with this. So this would be value for, and I have just a little bit of paint because I don't think I need a lot of paint. This is a really small painting, so this would be probably, yeah. My blue pigment, I see a little bit here of that pigment as well. Okay. And I'm asking myself, do I like this? Is it okay? And you know, I might be right now thinking about, oh, I don't like it. This doesn't look nothing like I want it to. The blue is not what it's supposed to be, and it's not like you know. It's not like I picture it. I like how it looks on the palette, and right now it's not correct. For a second, this hit my mind as well, and then I realized, wait a second. I don't have all the canvas covered. I don't have a red there yet. I don't have a shadow here. I don't have this color right here, or hue rather. Local color. I don't have this. I have nothing. Nothing there. So I don't have a correct point of reference to judge these things, right? So no panic. Everything is all right. We're good. We're just gonna continue. We're gonna trust ourselves. Remember, I talked about I talked about that's the relationship between neighboring colors, right? I can't really judge this color against something that is here. I can't unless I have some progression, right, towards that. Ideally, you can actually do it on the palette. So I'm just adding this right here, and I can immediately, you know, see the difference. And then I can actually take this and put it right here, and I can judge that exactly how it's going to look on the canvas. I don't have that point of reference on my canvas, so I can't really start panicking, right? So let's just throw the paint all over the canvas, and then let's adjust it before I get, you know. I'm going to mix that background local color right now. So it's a similar, it's a not the same value, but a similar value than I have with that blue. But I'm thinking about that as a warm gray. But this is turning a little too much into, maybe not. Maybe a little bit. This is turning a little too much into a green, so I'm going to mix orange and I'm I'm mixing orange because I want to offset that blueness that is in that black. So I want it to be warmer equivalent of that natural gray. Neutral gray. And I can judge it next to it, right? So, and I think I'm pretty close. It might be not exactly the one, but I'm not worried because what? This is a bed painting Friday. So I can do a bed painting. And maybe it wants more, a little bit more of that saturation. Okay. You see how bad that painting looks? That's cool. That's all right. Don't worry about it. I am. You don't need to. Okay. So I have the background. Right now I want to do the shadow for the... And I can, you know, because this is, I'm working a little bit with the transparency. And that's, you know, another... I love the notion of a bed painting Friday. I should try that sometimes. Yes, of course you should. Of course you should. I'm sorry that, you know, I see you writing here. I'm sorry that I didn't pay attention to chat, but I was, you know, in that bed painting Friday idea. And I really, this is nothing like I would paint. And you saw me painting yesterday. This is really just fun. Well, if it's not going to work, oh, well, you know, who's going to see it? Nobody. So I'm going to add a little bit more. I need to create right now the shadow. So I'm going to, instead of work with that black, I'm just going to use the sienna, I'm sorry, burnt umber, and I think I'm pretty close to that, shadow. It's just somehow I feel that it should be a little cooler, and this is going to be a tricky part. How am I going to make this pigment still nicely saturated, but slightly cooler? Let's see, I'm going to grab this blue, turn to green, make slightly darker green, and I'm thinking that I can try to approach it from, because right now this looks orangey to me, and I'm thinking that red against green, we're going to create that kind of desaturated pigment. But since this is turning towards the orange, I could actually add a little bit more green into it, which wouldn't make it as much desaturated, because orange and green, they are not complementary. And plus, they both have inside the main component, it's yellow ochre. So I can add red into yellow ochre, and I can also add that blue into yellow ochre. So I have an orange and green. They could mix together actually very well, and I could get that richness, darkness. I'm not sure. I'm going to try it. I'm going to add a little bit more of this, a little bit more of this. and see what's going to happen. And I'm turning more towards the neutral. So this might not be the way, but I'm not worried because I have another plan in my mind. I can actually take this red and I can add a little bit of black into it, or blue in this case, and I might try to turn this, this red into purple and then add purple into this mixture, right? So that might be, so I'm approaching it from, I'm attacking this from all angles, right? But you have to be careful, clean your palette, because you don't want to pollute your colors. Because this is very difficult to have clean palette if you do this. Because you're working with a limited palette, and you want to make sure that you are precise. All right, so let me try that. So I'm going to grab a little bit of red. And that's why I'm saying that maybe that alizarin crimson would be better, because I can it's closer to these pigments, and I see a lot of coolness there and richness, and this is way more difficult to create that. So I have to sacrifice certain things. So if I can get completely this nice, really high saturation red there, well, so be it. At least I can hit the right value. But I'm going to try anyway, because what? This is a bad painting Friday. So I'm going to slowly add. And these are really almost and you can see immediately that I lost, if I place the pigment next to it, I lost the saturation, but I created the darker value and it shifted more towards that purple. Or that kind of a red that is leaning more towards blue, which I need right now. And you can see that this is something that you have to do for hours to really understand your pigments. And imagine we're working with 4 pigments here now. That's almost nothing. Imagine you have 20 of them. That will drive you crazy. So I'm looking for I'm trying to hit that. So I'm going to create a new. And right now this orange could get a little cooler with this and retain that saturation. And I'm slowly mixing it in. And now, like I said, I will never get the same amount, but I can compare them and I can see the difference immediately. So one is warmer, one is cooler, one is, or rather than use warmer and cooler, we can go a little bit more precise. And one pigment it's leaning more towards red blue, and another one towards red yellow, or red green, red yellow rather. So I'm going to check. And this is when, and when you mix this way with the limited palette, you will start understanding why they use glazes before, because they did not have a pigment strong enough to create that saturation that they saw in the real life. So if I were, you know, I don't know, in the time of Renaissance, I would probably make these kind of gray areas, and I would glaze on top of it just the pure color, pure pigment, to get that richness. That's kind of a no-brainer, right? But you know, at that time, someone had to really think really hard how to get there. And what about the value? I think this is slightly lighter, which is okay because the shadow, it's slightly lighter than. So I might try just to use this one right now. So let's do that one. I don't know if it's going to work, but yeah, I wish to see Rembrandt to work with the full scale, every possible pigment, and maybe we wouldn't have a Rembrandt if he could, you know, watch Netflix maybe, since these days there's a lot of other things that you can do instead of painting. And so I'm keeping that same composition, same ideas. I'm still keeping that grid in mind, you know, where do I want to have things, and I'm really being just this guy's somewhere right here. So this would be probably my shadows, right? And then I could maybe connect it with here a little bit to warm it up. To connect this. And you can see how really I'm just only making mess. But I'm stopping myself for a second. And I'm again asking myself, do I like the composition or I don't? And if I don't, then I should change it, right? But I'm kind of okay. I'm gonna push through. I'm gonna see how far I can push it before I start worrying about how bad it looks. Let me just put right now the important part, what's going to change the overall feeling of this painting, and that would be that like a real saturation. Or real saturation, I shouldn't say that real saturation is, all saturation is real, but I'm going to push it. Thinking this might be too light. So this would be probably the area of my highlight. I'm in that territory, or very close to top of the form. So let me just add this here. Let me grab a little bit of this blue. Because I need to create right now a slightly darker value. And my only darker values are these two, so And I wanna keep the saturation as high as possible. That's this problem. This is the one problem that I have with cadmiums and vermilions as well. That it loses its chroma extremely quickly. But this seems pretty cool. This is still nice and chromatic, and I think that I think it's very close to just a, you know, a nice kind of a mid-tone. Maybe a little more of this, and just a tiny bit. So you really have to be patient with this. And then, you know, yeah. Let's see, let's put it there. Maybe I would put a little lighter value. Just a little lighter. But I have to understand that the moment that I add white to it, it's not only going to make it lighter, it's going to make it also less chromatic, unfortunately. I think I'm good with this. I always can add a little bit of yellow ochre into that white and lighten it this way to try to protect that chroma, right? So that will be, and this is how I would progress with modeling the form. So let's just put it there. See what it does. Kind of okay. Not worried. Enjoying my Friday. And again, I'm assessing this right now. Do I like it or do I not like it, right? So okay, all right. And since I'm from slightly different angle, I should also add a little bit of shadow right here. Let's actually shadow all the way this way. And right now I'm correcting, I felt like that was not right. Plus you have to also take into consideration the fact that I'm painting on paper that I sized and then gessoed. So it's very absorbent. So even my most saturated pigment, it's going to look desaturated because the oil, the shininess of the oil is going to be actually sucked into the canvas, into the paper. But since this is a bad painting Friday, I can do that. That shadow, it's all the way this way right here. Okay, nice. So again, I'm looking at that and I'm asking myself, do I like this composition? I kind of do. It's kind of strange. And I think that it fits perfectly to this bad painting Friday theme. So, so this would be time when right now I can start judging things a little bit more, and I can start asking myself, what do I have to do to improve on this bad painting? Well, I can start adding more details. Would that help? I don't know. I don't think so. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to try to connect these things together a little bit more. And by connected, I'm going to just create that kind of a feeling that everything is flat. I'm going to flatten everything, and I'm going to just, because I have a lot of texture there, so I'm just going to, and I don't care. I don't care. So what if the red is going to be here in this corner? Don't care. Maybe it belongs there. Who knows? Like a good old Bob Ross. Let's introduce these trees. And this tree needs its friend. I love that guy. So I did this, and I kind of made everything out of the focus. And that's cool, because right now I can continue with that idea that I am going to decide what's in the focus and what's not, what needs to be sharpened and whatnot, right? So, and I can right now ask myself, okay, I should maybe improve that background a little bit, or should I? I don't know. So let's try that, and let me show you a little trick. It's not even a trick. Let me show you what I mean. So I can maybe, I feel that this needs a little lighter value there. So check this out. I'm just going to add this on top of that. And it immediately changed the vibe and the feel. And I grabbed the random pigment that I had here. Happy accident, right? So I decided that I want to punch or push the saturation here a little bit more. So you can see right now, this looks like a light side already. And then if I just soften the edge, right, this is what I usually do with my fingers when I'm softening. So I can just slowly dissolve that into the background. Or you can take a brush and just soften it with a soft brush. I prefer to use fingers. Right? So that will be one way to just maybe push this a little bit more. And the reason why I'm doing this, it's because I want to recreate the composition, the arrow that it's pointing towards this. But I still want it to be a soft edge because I don't want harsh transitions there. Why? Because that's not the focal point. The focal point is not here. The focal point is going to be right here. And I'm right now actually composing or designing this background. And I can maybe add a little bit more. Just to create transitions, right? So another thing, I see that there is a really lighter value right here. So I can navigate this direction, right? So the optical illusion that I'm creating right now, it's happening with the contrast. I hope you can see the difference, that it's visible there on the screen. Right? And the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't have that many tools. I don't have that many pigments to work with. So I have to be more creative in terms of how am I going to create more interest with these limited tools that I purposely limited myself with. It's a really nice exercise that will help you to kind of push yourself to be a little bit more creative, not in terms of I don't want to say that you don't have a creativity, but right now I'm working with only with the graphic shape and value because I don't have anything else to work with. And if you are able to create something beautiful with only value and shape, I don't think that you need anything else. That's why many painters prefer this limited palette, because it gave them a little bit more, how would I put this? Not a little bit more. The boundaries that they created forced them to be more creative. I don't know if that even makes sense. And you can push it if you want even more, so it's even bigger diagonal. Or let's try the other way around. What if I just add a little more, like really dark background there? I don't think that that's going to help, but why not? Right? Let me add a little warmth into it. So I'm remembering this. Right? So I want to push it a little bit more this way. Is it working? I don't know. Maybe I can push it with that lighter value of a blue. So I'm going to create a lighter value of a blue, because I see that there is a little lighter value here. So check this out. Suddenly you're having fun with it, and that's such a refreshing idea to work with after that, you know, the whole week of complicated subjects and really difficult thoughts and, you know, so many variables. So instead of, you know, me turning towards the minimalism, I turn to a to a limited palette. And maybe I'll just push it here even more a little bit. Because why not? And then to really not make it that obvious, I'll just and what's this is creating or forcing you to think about is that how am I going to convince the viewer that this is a finished and the real finished painting, right? Because you want to finish it, so let's make it like a really good finished painting. I also have the little, you know, details that are going right here, and then I have a little dot that is right here, which is that, you know, part of the stem where stem was. The same thing right here. So let's work with the details a little bit, and then we can adjust other things as well. We can make this softer, because what? That's a cast shadow that is being and I'm thinking in terms of, you know, in terms of composition with really a simple flat shapes. So I have circle. Well, I have square. Well, not, I have a rectangle, which is the boundaries of my canvas. I have a rectangular shape right here, but then I have a forced triangle here. I have a circle as well. So I have three major shapes, or main shapes, right? So I have triangle. I have circle. And I have rectangle. So I'm really playing with these flat shapes right now, and I'm composing this as a flat shape. I'm rearranging these the way that they're pleasing, right? So if I want to, let's say, the compositionally, I would like to accentuate this, right? I can, bring more and more value, more and more saturation, but compositionally, I could create maybe something that goes right here around, like a halo effect, right? And I can create these implied lines that I will just direct the brush stroke this way. Direct brush stroke this way, and then something from here on the other side. So I will just kind of unclose these things if I want to. If I don't want to, I don't need to. It's just an idea of a composition, right? So don't be, don't hesitate to really play with these. Since this is, like I said, Painting Friday, why don't you explore certain things? I felt immediately when I look at that, I was talking about that arrow pointing this way. So I start with the idea of, oh, this could be like a triangles against circles. It kind of looked like a from Star Wars Destroyer. It has a similar color as well, or hue. All right, so let me work a little bit more on that saturation, and then just get a paper towel. So just to show you how these natural grays are powerful, I'm just going to full saturation mode, right? So this is as saturated as I can get. So this would be what Rembrandt would do, based on what I observe, right? So he would just really blast it with these. Full saturation. And then we can make it maybe a little lighter, but then we're going to lose chroma, so I'm going to add a little bit of yellow into it. So it's lighter value, but it's less chromatic. That's okay. Because what would I do next? I would glaze on top of it with a pure color. And then I need to create lighter value on the top. And this is way too light. Darker color here. I want to reinforce the shadow a little bit with the halftone. Right, so, okay, cool. So it's getting really, really bright, extremely saturated. So I'm trying to create a transition right now, and let's hit it again with that. This is where the redness needs to go. Oh, this is a, I hope that that's just a very dark storm. Well, I hope this is just a menacing looking, and it's just going to be a light showers, so you can continue working. Because you remember, you know, yesterday I was talking about like how this is affecting also my my perception and, you know, judging values. So I created, right now I just created the rough, I mapped the and I don't even need to do anything else actually, because that's more than enough information here for you, for your eye. You see that suddenly it's three-dimensional, suddenly it's sticking out from that, from those flat shapes, and you can right now start controlling it even more, so you can push it even further if you want to. So let's work on that. Yeah, you're absolutely right that, you know, you should bring that lamp back. Or, you know, it's not painting day for you today, and maybe you should do sculpting. Or, you know, last week I worked digitally, so I set up the same thing, but I was working on the computer. It was fun. So I want little light and value here to bring that contrast, to punch that contrast a little bit more. And I can see that it's going a little bit more here. So I'm going to maybe create a little harder edge here to create that feeling that, you know, that edge is right in front of us, or in our, you know, in that edge is a focal point. And maybe same thing right here. Right, so I'm just really right now playing with the shapes and deciding what works and what doesn't. I'm going to create a transition here, very soft transition, because I don't want you to pay attention to this, but I still want to maintain that that arrow direction that I was talking about. And perhaps I could make this little darker right here to show this is where the change of the plane is. Maybe a little bit. And then soften it, because I don't want it to be dominant, overpowering. Oh, I'm sorry that that you have to, you know, struggle with light conditions. But you know what? I sometimes, not sometimes, I kind of enjoy to work, you know, under that pressure conditions, because they, again, the same thing with this. You're limited to certain things, and you have to find out, you have to figure it out how to deal and overcome that, and that actually can create a lot of greatness. So I hope that you're going to push through that. so we have this guy right here having fun. So I'm softening it a little bit. And then correcting the angles and proportions. Right, so I have and compositionally I have two that are grouped together a little bit more, and then the one that it's solo right here, that's cool. I still kind of, what would Bob Ross say? They're still kind of a friends, but this is a friends that it's coming to visit them, while these are already having fun, right? So, and for a younger audience that doesn't know who Bob Ross is, well, you should definitely check that out. I'm thinking that I have to add this this detailed part right here to make it look like it's a well, it looks like I was talking about the spider the last time when I was painting this tomato. It's just so cool. You can't get rid of that feeling of that's the... And then I see these little, you know, like a really sharp details there, so I'm going to try to mimic them, to bring the attention a little bit closer to this. And then, you know, I have a lost edge, I have a sharp edge. And I'm designing that path. And I'm asking myself, do I want to have that edge this way? Do I want to have it that way? I think that this could go a little lower, like so, maybe, to create a little more, like something a little bit more interesting. And that's another part of this limited palette, because I have to really step up with my designing process and imagination if I want to actually create something interesting. Correcting it a little bit. Let's just maybe soften this, because it's too much information there, right? And make that a little sharper here. But these are, I'm already in the detailed stage. And the reason why I'm in the detailed stage is because I really want to, because I'm not satisfied with composition, and I want to know whether this is going to be enough interest there. For me to care to look at that. A little bit of that occlusion, just a tiny bit. Maybe I could enhance this shadow right here to make it a little darker. So I bring that. I'm trying to not block the camera, it's just a little difficult for me to move. And I'm sitting. So right now I'm in the stage when it looks artificial. So let me just make a little adjustment. Let me just soften these things a little bit. A little better. A little better. Okay. Okay, and then I should add a little darker this shadow. I think that it should be a little darker. It's probably too much. Never mind, because I can always. Okay, right now a little bit of that. I'm correcting the shape of the tomato. Because I didn't feel that it looked like a tomato, so I had to adjust it a little bit. Slightly lighter value here. There's like a transition there. That's the one. Because I'm trying to find a really lost edge right here on the top. And then I want to push this a little bit more here. This shadow. Cool. And then I want to make that to shine a little bit more, so let me just add a little bit more saturated color right here. So I will create a little bit stronger contrast. and then maybe push it here a little bit more as well. So I kind of unified this right here. And then I can right now to soften this a little bit. All right, and a little bit of I want to make it a little shorter. I feel like that will help to make that cast shadow a little shorter. Just a little bit. And then maybe I should push it okay, maybe I could push this as well. To show like that little transition there. So I have a, diagonal. And then I feel that this should go a little bit, and this is where I would really like to have that alizarin crimson. So since I don't have it, let me try to do this. Because I need to do a little bit of, because there's a lot of blue that is reflecting into this, and it almost seems like it's a purple. Maybe a little lighter. So I'm trying to hit that purple feel. This is the reflection right here. I don't know if you can see it. Just a little bit. Next to this. Okay, and right now I can maybe, the other important part would be to put that highlight there. So I see it right here. Soft edge right here. A little lighter value here. I see a little bit more of that orangey reddish right here. Here a little bit to bring in more. To create a little bit more, kind of like a more interesting shape to it. And then here, again, this is a lot more leaning towards blue than I would ever expect. So I'm just trying to add that there. Then connect it with that saturated part. Because I have a limited options into how to create it, and right now I can decide. Well, right now I feel like that saturated background is way too saturated, but it's okay. I'll change it. A bit of this, but I need that little bit of that shadow right here underneath that, because it's kind of, you know, the light it's hitting it from here, so there will be a little sliver right here as well, just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, so it gives that more of that. And then also it should be darker here, so it shows where the tomato ends. This is that occlusion that I was talking about, just a little bit, which automatically, if I darken that, will give me a little bit more of that reflective light, which I was in desperate need. And let's desaturate this a little bit. Desaturate this a little bit, right? So I have that focal point there. I'm working with it. And, you know, there are moments that I like it and moments that I dislike it. Okay, so let's push this a little bit more. I'm going to work on the other tomatoes a little bit. Right, so I'm going to give them a little bit more definition. Not a lot, but a little bit. A little bit more. Just composition, I don't like this harsh transition here. And maybe I should push it. And I'm thinking about the composition. Maybe I should show a little bit of more of the geometry. Why not? It's an option. I'm thinking about the composition right now and how to improve on that. I'm going to add a little bit more of this. Here, but I need because this is kind of like an empty space right here and kind of bothers me, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it. And again, this is me being stuck in composition. Maybe I should push it lower and incorporate this there. Maybe that's gonna help. We'll see. Let's try that. So what if I push this a little bit more this way? Yep. 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 So you, a little tomato, you're going to be halfway into a dark side. Going to disappear into the darkness. And let's soften this a bit. Maybe even throw some curve there. Well, but that's what is missing, little curves. Everything was like a triangular or, you know, straight lines. So maybe a little curve here would help that. Accentuate that. And see, I'm just right now I'm playing with the composition. I'm kind of want to connect things through these implied lines because, you know, why am I going to lie? Everybody here knows that I am a big proponent of composition first. So but right now it's something is not there. I'm looking for some interest. Perhaps that shadow that we talked about here, that could play a role, and then the little blue sliver of the light here against that shadow, that could actually work. Because I'm looking at this area right here, and it's kind of empty. And it's, you know, there is a lot of things that can, you know, be there, or can I put there, but I don't know what would be. Let me step back and to look at it from a distance, because I've been sitting for a while. I think that might help. Okay, let's clean the palette. Approximately 20 times I wanted to stand up and bring that alizarin crimson. And then I love me some ultramarine. All right, so let's look at this again from a little bit of a distance. And let me grab okay. Perhaps, yeah, I think that I could make that tomato slightly darker, because it feels to me right now that it's very close to that. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. And then I could create a little interest right here, a little bit, and then maybe something right here that would help that. Mm-hmm. This. So this is the one version of how could I push this a little bit lighter. To work more with a maybe if I turn it a little bit more purplish. Okay. But I could do this. I could add a little bit more interest into the shadow. Because it seems right now it's black. It doesn't correspond to. It's a right value or fairly right value. It's a wrong hue of the shadow. Because it just doesn't feel like it belongs to that blue pigment. Why am I doing this with a small brush? I don't know. Okay, I have this, and then I can make this little pub. Still want to maintain that feeling of a triangle that, you know, we decided that's compositionally sound. All right, it's starting to look better. And this is all, you know, I don't paint any, I don't do any drastic changes. I don't move things drastically around. I'm just, I'm not going to move from this stage unless I'm satisfied because I want to create a because it's not going to work if it's not working at this stage. Not in my experience. Not there's no details that I can add to it to make it better. Maybe I could push this all the way here. Yep. Make this softer. This transition to maybe even connect it into here. Mm-hmm. Softer transition. I want all these to be soft. These transitions. Yep. Maybe this needs to go all the way here to change a little bit that angle of that triangle. Yeah. Yep. And you know, these changes could be beneficial, but could work against you. It's really tough to say or imagine how it's going to work. I'm just, moving it around. I'm not afraid. Well, first of all, it's our, bad painting Friday. So what could possibly happen? Nothing. And then this is the time that you shouldn't be. This is not going to be displayed anywhere. This is not going to be, hopefully, it's not going to be in a museum, because if this is going to get to the museum, then there's a good indicator that something is wrong with something corrupt there if this painting is going to get to the museum. So what I'm trying to say actually is that I'm not thinking about this as a commission or something that I have to sell. This is only for me. This is my my attempt to better understand pigments that I'm working with, and force myself to find the solutions that I created for myself. Yeah, it would be funny, right, to see it in the museum. So that's just if you will see this into a museum in the future, that's an indicator. That's a big red flag. That might not be actually a museum, and someone's trying to lurk you into some, add a little, even though the shadow is slightly different, I need to work with that shadow a little bit, because because I want to create a kind of a, I don't want to have the, so this is where the highlight is going to lay. But I want to have just a small highlight there. I don't want it to be overpowering. I'm just, trying to create a convincing form before anything else. And then I need that. Yeah, I was reading the comments right now, and you're absolutely right that, what am I doing? That a plein air is another good example of bad painting Friday kind of idea, that every one of my plein airs looks like it's a bad painting Friday on every day. But I still feel, I don't want to say happy to do these plein airs, but exactly as you pointed out, they have value, educational value, and memories, of course, memories. But I am really probably the worst plein air painter. Not probably the worst. I'm certain that if there would be a competition for the worst plein air paintings, I would occupy first, second, and third place for sure. For sure. And I would complain. I know I have so many amazing stories about me complaining all the way throughout the plein air, being angry on everything, from just from my shoes are not tied properly, my shoelaces are not working for me, they're working against me. It's just that you know that something is wrong when your shoelaces are the problem of your plein air. That's just how it is. Well, thank you for reminding me plein airs and all these memories from the plein air. And it's not even memories, it's a recent event, like a month ago. Yeah, that was funny. I know. But you should have seen me. It was just, it's just. Well, that I have to say that would be that's just that would that's me being a content creator instead of painter, going for a plein air. That's just pure content. I mean, seriously, it's everything. It's against me. Well, you know what? I was actually, you know what? I'm gonna do one day a. Right now it's like it's a rain season, but one day I'm just going to do that, and that's gonna be the true meaning of Bad Painting Friday. live stream because that's going to be extremely entertaining. Everything is against me. Seriously, everything. It's like a conspiracy. It's the only conspiracy that I believe in. Is that when I'm painting outside, plein air, everything is against me and everybody is against me. The nature hates to see me with my easel outside. So I'm adding a little bit more detail to the I know what the problem is. I was thinking how to create that connection between them through what would be the... So I decided to put a little bit more detail there just to show the difference between the flat shapes that they're sitting on top or laying on top of. So I have that juxtaposition between flat shape, flat graphic shapes against more modeled forms. And right now I'm really, going into a little bit more of that detailed work because I'm trying to create a little bit more convincing representation of form that it's turning away from us. And I want to see, again, we talk about the atmospheric perspective. So this is my focal point. This is in front of me. This is in the back. I still want you to see some details, but I want them to be really subdued. So this is exactly the reason why it's so good to go outside and paint outside, because I live in this control area of a studio where I feel safe. I don't have any problems here. Well, I do have problems, but everything is where it's supposed to be. When I need to, clean my brushes, I have my chemicals. I have water here, running water when something happened. I have my tea. I have water. I can, sit down. I can step back. There is nothing that could possibly ruin my experience. And outside on the plein air, just the walk to the... Yeah, you have to get out from the comfort zone. Absolutely. There's no question about that. Absolutely agree. 100%. And imagine me right now being outside, and that would be end of the world for me, because I would hate myself. I would argue with myself. I would get angry because I didn't bring the ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson, and instead of painting and focusing on paint, I would dedicate the all power of my brain to hating on myself and hating on the whole experience because of this setback. And trust me, it's really funny, because then I'm like, I don't know. Well, that's because that's the beauty of that. You know, some people, they really shine in these um, how do you call them, these unexpected situations that they, you know, need to adapt and you need to create things. Well, I could perhaps paint with the palette knife, but you know, that's just that you wouldn't. Yeah. It's like, I don't know how would I describe this. That's so unreasonable. It's unreasonable, unprovoked. I don't even know how to say that. It's just a absolute rage for no reason. It's like I don't know. Maybe you know people that this happens to me. Not me. I'm not that kind of person. But I have in my surroundings people that they get really angry when they're hungry for no apparent reason. Right? I think there is a term in English, hangry, and that's what I am. Extremely hangry when I paint outside. That's just. It's probably the best way how to describe me being on the plein air. Just, you know. And then if you think about it, and I have to change this in my head, because when you think about it, there is nothing more beautiful than going outside for a walk and then paint something. There's just there's two things that I like to do. I like to go for a walk. I like to go into the forest. I really like nature. And then I love painting, right? So there is no brainer that you're going out and paint. But somehow, somehow the combination of me being in the nature with the palette, it's comical. I'll do it. I promise that I'll do it. Just for that, you know, just the pure, just that's going to be pure entertainment value. Reinforcing the shadow a little bit. That's exactly what I was actually referring to. It's exactly what I was referring to, that I'm going to be sitting in the studio and painting from the window. But then, you know, it's just, isn't that cheating? Doesn't that deserve, not deserve, doesn't that, what's the word that I'm looking for? Defeat the purpose? Yeah, that's just I was really, you got me before I actually actually did that. But what I was thinking about is actually to go paint from the roof. So that has to count for something, right? That is outside, somewhat outside. So it will be maybe even a cool plein air painting, you know, just looking at the historic city from the top, seeing certain things from a different perspective. And that's all, you know, part of that Bad Painting Friday idea, that you're absolutely right. I should start with the simple things, with something that I feel semi-comfortable, because I'm in the studio and I'm painting architecture, which is something slightly different than, you know, portraits and still lifes. You know, the principles are the same. The foundation is the same. It's just a different. Different organization of these abstract shapes. Yeah, with my ease of flying down. Yeah, that would be probably Plus, I don't know how that, you know. So I'm trying to get as far as I can from the painting, so I can adjust certain things. Lost edge, I'm trying to create a lost edge here. And I'm not sure right now, that's that I'm not sure. I know what I don't like, and I'm trying to figure it out how to change it. So maybe I could make this top part a little darker. That's what I'm talking about. A little darker, so I can show that this is a bottom plane, and that's the side plane behind. So let's just try to hit it with a little darker value. So I can connect these darks together. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but and right now it's divided into the halves. Okay, I think this is this probably could work a little bit more. So again, this is the same stage that, you know, you'd think that, oh, he probably took the brush, you know, if that would be, if, you know, I don't want to compare myself with the John Singer Sargent, but, you know, right now I'm placing these, you know, kind of a little bit bolder brush strokes just for just to have fun with it. But these are not random, these are, I don't want to say that it's educated, but it's an educated guess. Yeah, where would I want to land with these? Right, but you can see that there was a lot of other things there before, and right now I'm kind of taking that and reinforcing and restating certain areas, and I'm playing with that, you know. Maybe I could push it even more. Even more, and then perhaps I could end it here. Right, so let me just grab this and this pigment. So connecting them and disconnecting them again and finding that right balance. So I'm again, oops, I hit the camera. So I'm just, you know, I'm just searching, I'm exploring the possibilities, and right now it kind of feels that it's divided into four quadrants or four separate shapes. So I want to unify them a little bit more, because it looks like it's, you know, dividing into half, and I don't like that. So perhaps some abstract, just the brush strokes, to kind of connect this part with this upper part here visually. And these are just experiments. I don't know if this is true or if it's helpful or not. For the composition, I just need to see something. And it's almost asking me to, you know, to add like something red here. Compositionally, I don't know why I have that feeling, so I'm just going to add that a little bit. Because it felt that these colors are kind of not connected to anything, so I'm going to add a little bit of that redness here, because I can see that there's light hitting the red tomato, and it's reflecting that redness into that blue cloth or whatever is there. That might be a little too much. And the reason why I want to do it is because I want to play with that blueness of the pigment. Maybe I could push it here a little bit. I felt that that was too harsh, and then I could add lighter value here. The size of this canvas is, or canvas, the paper that I treated with, you know, gesso, and I sized it and then, you know, put the gesso on. It's 20 by 15 centimeters, so I don't know how much would be in inches. But it's fairly small. Well, this is my hand, so like this big. Ah, you work with centimeters? All right, cool. Really, that this size for a plein air, this seems way too small for me, for a plein air. I don't know. I usually go 30 by 40 is probably on the smaller side, and then 40 by 50 it's just a, you know, the kind of a size that I feel comfortable with. That's, you know, you're absolutely right that you have a limited amount of time to finish it, but you know, it depends how fast you can paint, how fast you can draw actually, and translate that information from one point to another, and maybe just you know, it depends. Again, I don't do these like really nice and like fully developed plein air paintings. I can always retouch them at home if I so choose, which is not that very often, even though I always lie to myself that that's what I'll do. well, I'm not saying that you have to paint bigger, but when I'm thinking about the plein air, I also think about, and then again, there is a question about what kind of plein air I am working on. Is it a cityscape, right, or is it like the classical landscape? Then when you are painting nature, it depends. It really depends, but I'm used to work on larger scale. I feel a little bit more comfortable because I can apply not necessarily apply. I can remember I was talking about that. I use the whole arm and the whole body to move, and when I'm working with such a small canvas here, I don't know. I cannot go with I cannot use the full range of the motion that I'm used to. So maybe because of that, I prefer larger canvases, even for a plein air. Yeah, and when you're traveling, yeah, you are absolutely right, But luckily for me, I live in a beautiful historic city, so I go out and I can paint for days. There's a lot of stuff, and then like places like Italy, France, they're not that far away from where I live. So it's like, I don't want to say that it's a walking distance, but it's definitely drivable. So even though I prefer to fly, because you can fly 1 hour and you're in Italy, and then you have to drive 10 hours, right? So that's not really the ideal scenario, but oh, that's awesome that you have a chance to. I actually, that's the interesting, not interesting. The funny thing is that I never been to France, and I really want to go. I don't know. So this is really a bad painting, and I don't know how to fix that problem with that background. Maybe if I push it a little bit more this way. And this is really, really this is really good that you actually watch me to struggle with this, because that gives you perspective that, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you know how to paint a portrait, you know how to paint a still life. People expected you know that, but no. And not necessarily, well, here, let me rephrase this, because this sounds a little too, it's not fair to other painters and artists. The fact that I composed and painted more portraits than still lifes, I have a hard time to compose these elements in the pleasing ways. And not even that. Let me rephrase it. Let me go even further. It's more that I am not sure. No, one more time. I cannot predict what's gonna happen next with a still life as good as I can predict this with portrait. That would probably be the best explanation that I have. You're definitely not. Everyone struggles when he paints. I don't know a painter who would just sit down and be happy and paint and just everything just falls into place. That's why I decided to do these streams, to show other people that this is not only chocolate and sunshine, right? This is also these moments when you feel like, what am I doing here? People are watching me and I'm not performing like I'm the best. Well, like I said, this is not a performance. This is more just a, you know, just a reality, unfortunately. So let's throw some more paint around and see what sticks and what doesn't. Yeah, so, you know, I don't want to repeat myself, but welcome to Bad Painting Friday. If you didn't know, now you know. Now you know. And then, you know what, I'm enjoying this. I have to say that, you know, I'm kind of annoyed with myself, but still, I still having a lot of fun. So I'm going to push this saturation, since I don't know what else could I do. And maybe change the position for that highlight a little bit, because I felt like it's kind of breaking that. And I know that I don't have that option of glazing, because this is all wet paint. But I can scumble a little bit of that more saturation on the top. Let's see if I can do it. Yep, I can. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to keep a really high saturation on that dark side, or on that in certain areas around here, and I can't create the dark the really dark, vibrant red leaning more towards blue, because I don't have that kind of a power of pigments. So I need to create that illusion. So I'm probably going to throw a little bit of dark green next to it to offset that, you know. So it's going to be dark neutral green next to a lighter vibrant or saturated red, which should push that illusion into or trick your brain that you're looking on something that is a little more saturated, only because I'm placing that complementary pigment there. So that's what I'm thinking about. I'm not sure if it's going to work. And then here's the thing, it might work, I might not be applying it properly. So these are the things to really, really think about. Yeah, let's bring some magic to this, and see if it's work. Well, because that's also the problem with limited palette, right? So, and I made a mistake. Obviously, I chose vermilion, and you saw me actually putting it there. And that's just a testament to think before you do something. Come on, think a little bit. So next time when I'm going to do limited palette, I'm just going to be, oh, I just decided to randomly today work with alizarin crimson. And you know what? I can always add yellow ochre into alizarin crimson and get very close to that vermilion kind of a pigment. Never mind then. Yeah, put my brain in the higher gear. I wish I could do that. I don't, I wish I can do that. My brain is just on a really... My brain is more like an old boat. It needs sails to move. And when it's moving really slow. But, could be worse. Could be worse. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit more of that saturation there. And I'm going with pure red. And I am not necessarily applying it thickly there, but I am doing the same thing because I don't know how to get out of this problem that I created for myself. So what I'm doing, I applied, and I don't know if it's visible on the camera, but I applied a little bit more of that, the idea that I have desaturated green, which is a darker value, and then to make sure that that redness kind of, showing through, or actually it's exaggerated. And instead of covering all the area, I'm creating these dots of paint, like a pointillism, to get a little bit closer to that feeling of that, the coolness of the red, instead of, having it really, really almost orange. And I really don't know if it works or not, if it's working sufficiently enough. But since I'm looking at it right now from a distance and I'm going back and forth to it, yes, it kind of works. It kind of works. But right now I wish I could, perhaps, maybe I could, and again, I'm missing that ultramarine to create that background, and I don't know. So I'm going to do the same thing right now with the background. I'm just going to introduce a little bit of lighter value. Or perhaps maybe the opposite way. I'm just going to warm it up a little bit. And make it warmer and just create that, connect it through the idea that shadows are warm and light is cool. So that might help. glad that, you know, we have similar ideas on this, so maybe I'm not that far away from the truth. Yep. So I'm warming it up a little bit, and that helped. But again, you know, I wasn't sure, because the graphic part looks good when it was there as a sketch. So I know, subconsciously, I know that the overall shape that I chose kind of worked. But if I know, because it was all the way. Okay, all right. Maybe this is the problem. Let's try one more trick. Let's create. I know what the problem is. Well, first would be my lack of painting experience, and the second, that I did not follow what I actually. Well, now I get it. Okay, cool. All right. For a second, I felt enormous amount of pressure, and all right. There's always a way how to solve the problem, and most of the time it's a composition. Exactly. Yeah, right. It's kind of a no-brainer, right? When you see it right now. But not imagine. I'm pretty sure that you know how it feels. But the pressure and, you know, that buildup of, you know, the thoughts and the movement, and you're feeling lost and it's not working or something. I don't know. And then the solution is so simple. It's so simple. And you know what? The simpler the solution, the heavier it's a pain when you finally see it. And that's you're absolutely right. That's the magic that we talked about. It's that fact that, you know, two bad brushstrokes will never make a happy accident. It's just the constant adjustments, things. And because and here is the thing, compositionally, why it didn't work, and I couldn't identify it properly, because it was missing the graphic shape. And, you know, a couple minutes ago, I referred to this as an important part of that, you know, that, you know, I had that graphic shape there, and I know that the graphic shape was working, and I was asking myself, like, why is it not working? Where did it disappear? What happened to that graphic shape? And then, you know, when you get into modeling and when you're moving with the brush and you're putting more and more paint, you kind of you get lost with these graphic shapes. And that's why I really, really like the Bad Painting Fridays, because that's the time when you can really explore the mistakes, you can analyze them, and not only that, you can then start consciously thinking about them and adjusting these things. And the reason why the composition didn't work, I didn't do much to change it, but everything kind of were pointing into that tomato, which already was a focal point. It didn't need anything else. on its own, the position where it is and the saturation and the fact that it's just a rounded shape, and I should change the shape a little bit because it's too roundish. It doesn't feel natural. Kind of made that the important information felt like was hidden behind that tomato. That's what I'm trying to say. And it took me only an hour and a half to get to this point, so yay. And imagine right now, imagine that this is happening to me outside when I'm doing plein air. Man, you can, I don't even want to start with this. Of course that my shoelaces are then the biggest problem and they're responsible for everything because they were tied differently than I wanted to since the morning, and that should show me that I'm not supposed to be here on this plein air. That's my thought process. And then my brain, and you know what, and that's the problem, because then my brain gets stuck in this, and it cannot move. It cannot move forward. I cannot get over that composition. And I know that when I was at the academy, I know that I had a huge problem with this. I mean, there were teachers telling me and masters in the studio that you have to move forward. You can't be stuck right here. And I was arguing to the point of, madness, that no, I know that something is wrong. I feel it. I have to fix it. If I won't fix it, this is not going to be a satisfactory painting. No matter how good I can paint that portrait, no one will care, because it's just, there's no reason to look at this. It just looks unbalanced, and it looks undesirable. I don't know even how to say that. Well, I don't know if I'm that good at it, but thank you. I really, because when you think about it, and this is another thing that's stuck in my head, is that, we have so many, you have to do so many, you have to compromise a lot in the life. And then, I decided that I don't want to do these compromises in painting. So that's why I'm pushing these things. Maybe sometimes I was told that into a unreasonable well, I'm creating unreasonable pressure, but like I said previously, I would rather have a bad painting, like really, really bad painting, than just a mundane one. Because that bothers me more, because that kind of, somehow that shows me that I didn't put any effort into it. And I can't, I simply, I cannot do that. I can, not that I cannot, I can, I don't want to. That's the better way to say that. And there is another thing, somewhere I heard, or I read it somewhere, it was there's so much of, pollution and environmental problems that you shouldn't add to the pollution with your bad paintings. So I'm trying to not pollute this planet even more with, like a throwaway bad paintings. Even though that this type of painting or this stream is called Bad Painting Friday. It's just you see, if I put it this way, it again just lose its yeah. So yeah, we won today with this experiment. You guys could see me struggle. And then you could also see that there is always a pathway from that. That's a quote from a chess player legend, Mikhail Tal, and he said that to playing a chess against the opponent, it's like to bring him into very dark forest where 2 + 2 = 5, and the pathway it's narrow. A pathway out it's narrow only for one. So that's how I feel when I paint that. It's really dark forest that I'm trying to find a way out, especially when I do such a big mistakes with not the big mistakes in the composition, just when I do not, my brain just turned off itself because I'm satisfied that I corrected some of the problems with the painting. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to adjusting right now those, and maybe I could. Oops. Okay, that was a mistake. Okay, so I softened it, and right now I wanna. Okay, so let's maybe bring a little bit more of this. Right now it's working better. And then a little bit of this right here. That's gonna be that little. Where the stem, or where it's connected to stem the cherry. It's a cherry tomato. Okay, and a little bit of shadow there, just a touch, to show that it has that it's three-dimensional. And then let's push it with a little bit more saturation here. Okay, so these slow adjustments, and I don't want to overpower this, but still I want it to be a little bit more defined right here. So, and I'm taking since, like I said, I don't have that purple or red that is leaning more towards blue, I'm taking that approach with from the pointillists and Seurat. What he was doing is just placing pure pigment next to each other and creating that optical illusion. Or at least I'm trying to do that. So that means that instead of mixing it, because if I mix these two pigments together, it would create a desaturated pigment. By contrasting it next to each other, they are kind of not kind of there is a optical illusion that it's mixing these pigments together. Lost edge right here on the top. And then let me place the highlight there as well. Just slightly less saturated. And it's going to be right here. And I need to darken this, open it a little bit so it doesn't overpower that. That highlight, and I'm going to right now adjust it so it doesn't, so it helps the form. To it's going this way, and blue reflection from that blue cloth that it's underneath. Well, that was so. Let me just get a little bit more of this. So I'm making this a little lighter. And pushing it a little bit more this way because I felt that it was too too much of saturation was there, and that I was ever fighting for attention. Correct that shape a little bit more. Soften that edge. Make sure that I still have that occlusion. Okay. Let me add a little bit more redness into that. Into the background. Softening that. I could change the direction maybe this way. So I could push it here a little bit more. To point even more towards here. And then change direction. Soft edge. Right, well, I'm happy that you enjoyed that Bad Painting Friday. That's just that's what I like to hear. So, you know, keep working on it, same way as I do, and hopefully, you know, there is a unlimited way to unlimited options to get to the results that you are looking for. So yeah, I'm not going to continue either, because today I have to stop sooner. I have another private lesson, but I'm glad that you guys paint alongside with me, because that's really awesome. And you know, whether you paint digitally or you paint classical, I might, you know, tomorrow, I'm not sure if I'm going to do stream tomorrow. Perhaps I will, and maybe we can do something digital. But then again, Monday I will probably start a new project, the one that I was talking about, which is our traditional national costume, like a folk portrait. It should be a full figure. I'm not sure yet. I still have to meet with my model. And yeah, so keep working. I'm gonna be, you know, working on some sketches and compositions for that particular portrait, and hopefully I'll be able to work on both on work digitally and also work with a, you know, to show you these first stages when I you know, work with charcoal on the canvas and looking for, you know, placements and not only placements, but what I'm trying to say is, like, when I'm figuring it out where the portrait is going to be on the canvas before I go there with, you know, big brushes and just having fun with the paint on the scale. I still don't know what size that portrait is going to be, so it might be smaller, it might be bigger, I'm not sure. And it also depends on whether or not I'll be able to get materials for that painting, because that's probably one of the biggest issues these days for me, since, you know, I have to travel to a big city, and the closest big city for me where I can get this kind of art supplies, it's Vienna. So I'll have to do a trip. I have to make a trip to Vienna for art supplies. So yeah, there's a plenty of things that needs to be done as a preparation before. So we might have a, you know, bad painting Friday on Monday. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the day. Have a great and awesome weekend, and I'll talk to you and I'll see you on Monday. Take care. Bye.